Alrighty, so this is another Battlefield 5 ray tracing video with the same configuration I had last time, Core i7-6700K, RTX 2080. There's been a patch and a new nVidia driver that's given some optimizations. So here's my graphical settings. Everything's on Ultra, RTX on, top settings. And this time I'm going to have the frame counter enabled in the top right hand corner there, so you can actually see the frame rate this time. So I chose a level that before gave me a bit of problems. It would frequently dip to about 40 frames here, and sometimes even 20 frames in some of the harder areas. Whereas now it seems that with the optimizations they've put in, they were telling the truth when they said it can bring 50% optimizations, at least from what I can see. As you can see, it's around 60 FPS there, and it actually rarely dipped for me. You'll see some points during this gameplay where it will dip, but it never dipped below 50 frames for me. So this is quite an action-heavy area. A few reflections, quite a lot of sunlight, a lot of explosions, a lot of stuff going on. So you see it dipped to about 54 frames there. So there's some of the reflections there. The one thing I really like about ray tracing versus screen space reflections is that it's all perspective correct, and it's really bridging that gap between the uncanny valley of graphics and pretty much photorealistic graphics. Because obviously screen space reflection can only reflect what's on the screen at the time, so it can't reflect underneath things that you can't see, whereas ray tracing can, which is a massive advantage. And you'd often see with screen space reflections that when you're looking at a lake or a body of water that's reflecting stuff, as soon as you look down, anything going off the screen will stop being reflected in the water, and it will just become blank in the water. Which is obviously very immersion breaking, especially when the rest of the game looks this good. But now it's just it's almost flawless. And I was very concerned about the frame rate issues, the performance of ray tracing, but it seems to be quite smooth. I mean, even before this patch came out, it was quite smooth, but now it's even more smoother. It's much better. So as we go into this area, this is one where previously I remember it sank right down to like 40 frames consistently, because I think there's so many god rays through the trees there, so you can just see, as well as reflections, that it was just tanking the frame rate. But now they've added these optimizations in. While I was playing, I didn't see any dips, and of course the gameplay felt much smoother because of it. I mean, obviously we're still playing in 1080p here, because 4K I think would tank the frame rate with RTX on. But even then, with 1080, and you can see some reflections here, look at that. That is so good. I love a good reflection. I love good lighting effects. Good HDR. So, yeah, I mean, playing this in 4K would definitely bring it down to about 20-30 frames a second, which for the campaign would be okay, but the multiplayer, obviously you can't play multiplayer at 30 frames a second. So look at those reflections, just beautiful. I mean, that is just beautiful. That looks so good. So good. I mean, as I get attacked by a tank while distracted by the photorealistic mud. Oh man. I mean, for anyone thinking about getting a ray tracing graphics card and trying out some of it, I'd say do it. I mean, when you notice the effects, you really notice it. And overall, it just makes it so much better. So you're about to see a big old explosion here. So good. Okay, so just mentioned multiplayer a few seconds ago. So this is a multiplayer match on the snow map. Now this ran pretty smoothly before, and now it seems to run even more smoother because I don't think I saw it dip below 60 frames once. But at the same time, I don't think there's a lot of reflections here. So it stands to reason. A little bit of reflections there. And you may see in the sniper scope there that you can indeed see reflections behind you, and also the character's own face in the scope, which is really cool. So I got taken out there. Not exactly impressive. Now, so that map is obviously not too ray tracing intensive, whereas this one very much is, because there's reflections everywhere, grass, rain. There's a lot going on that the ray tracing's doing. Now before, this one was running about 50 to 60. It would occasionally dip. Whereas on this playthrough now, with the optimizations in, I didn't see it dip below 60 once, which is obviously really important in multiplayer. I mean, you don't really want to be dipping below 60. Of course, the high frame rate doesn't make me play any better, so I'm still terrible, but at least it was smoother. So we all got wiped out there. There's me getting confused with the UI. I haven't really played this game a lot, to be honest with you. I've just really got it just for the ray tracing. And the optimizations that were made, I don't think they had any impact on the image quality. It still looks amazing in terms of the reflections and everything else, so I think they were lossless optimizations. Obviously it's a new technology, so I imagine there's quite a lot of teething problems to sort out. And hopefully, as time goes on, we will see more optimizations and things will be more smoother. I'm very excited to see games like Metro Exodus with ray tracing. I don't know if Tomb Raider's got ray tracing patch yet, but when that's out, I'll be trying that out because I'm really excited to see how that performs with some optimizations. So as you can see there, it's not dipped. As far as I can see, it's not dipped once below 60 frames. And if it was going to do it, it would either be on this map or the Rotterdam map. But I went for this map because of the sheer amount of ray tracing that's going on, or must be going on. Because the whole map is basically just water. As I'm just rewatching this, I'm starting to notice that some of the more distant water looks a bit less detailed than the closer up water. That could be one of the optimizations. I can't remember if it looked like that before. Just someone yelling in the chat there for some reason. Actually surprised me how enjoyable this game is. I found myself getting a bit addicted while playing it to get the footage for this. Even more so now that it's a lot more smoother. Don't know how I missed that twice. Ouch. See a lot of foliage, a lot of god rays, a lot of reflections. And of course all the grass as well. Well, I got one hit on him. There we go, yep. Just get taken down immediately after reviving that person. How did I not notice that guy on my left there? Unbelievable. Bit more fumbling about the UI, and I'm back in. Right. Just running into that person for a bit. God, I'm so bad. So yeah, there we go. So now it's even more playable in campaign and definitely more playable in multiplayer. So give me a like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.